people. And with me out in my, I think Jeff must be out there by the door, Jeff Stelick from my staff, and Vicki Dillon. Thank you to Colonial Club for allowing us to do this here. We really appreciate it. So I thought I'd just give everyone a kind of a brief overview of kind of the budget situation. This handout, this is our is a little update that we gave to the County Board of Supervisors, kind of describing the situation in which we find ourselves at the beginning of the process, and my initial ask to our department heads regarding submitting their budgets. And that's what's before us now, and that's what this hearing is on the budget requests that have come in from our departments. We came into the year with about a $4 million difference between what we were able to levy under the levy formula, and when we look at the different money that comes in from other sources, and our cost to continue services at the current level because of increases in health insurance, that kind of thing. So what we did pretty early on in the year, because we knew this was coming, is we engaged with our employees under a provision that passed the legislature called Act 65, which in spite of the new collective bargaining law, the new law that banned collective bargaining, allowed counties who had unions under contract still at this point to go in and renegotiate one more time. So we went in and renegotiated with our employees, and we were able to come out of that negotiation with a new contract that saved us $2 million in this next budget. And that helped a great deal going to plug that hole that we started out with that $4 million cost to continue. We were also successful in getting enough of our employees to sign up to do what's referred to as a health assessment through Physicians Plus, because part of our deal, we have a 5-year contract with Physicians Plus. Part of that deal was a cap on the former mayor. How are you? Was I almost said Mr. Mayor. Was a part of that deal with Physicians Plus. We had a 5-year deal with them that capped increases at a certain rate, around 7.5% after the first year. The first year was no increase over the previous year. But there was also a clause in it that said if we got enough people to sign up for health assessments and health coaching sessions, that we could get another, we could get about $300,000 more knocked off of that premium. So we did a full court press with our employees, and we got, we surpassed the number that we needed to get those, to get that additional discount. So that was another $300,000 that we desperately needed. There's still some unknowns out there. Two of them are the fact that the state's biennial budget, their cycle and the county's cycle don't perfectly align. So there could be changes in the next state biennial budget that could impact where we are. So that's kind of an unknown that you go into. You know, you try to figure out what's going to happen, but you never know. So there could be changes, and there have been changes through that process in the past, and the county's had to react at times with hiring freezes and things like that. The other piece that's an unknown right now is among the changes that were made by the legislature this year was a change to the Wisconsin retirement system. One of the changes was it's requiring public employees to contribute a specific amount to their retirement plan. But when they changed all of the formulas, it changed it such that their actuaries have not come out with the final number of what it's going to cost the counties, because the employees' portion is capped at a certain amount, but the counties are, and the other public entities also have a contribution they have to make. But the county side of it will go up anywhere between $1–2 million more dollars, something like that. And we don't have that number yet, and we're not going to have it till late September. So that will impact our budget somehow. We just don't know yet. So we'll have to wait to get those numbers. So what I'm in the process of now is we have the budget compilations, all the requests, and so I'm getting input from the public and anyone who would like to share about what they think about the requests that have come from the departments, or if they're just issue areas in general regarding the budget that you would like to give me your opinion about. In Sun Prairie, we have some good news. The budget requests, again, I don't know if I mentioned these percentages earlier. In my budget request, I asked, my note to the departments, I asked them to turn in budgets with decreases of 1% or 2% based on the size of the department. We worked a lot in the human services budget. They worked incredibly hard trying to save what we have in human services. For example, the Colonial Club, where we are right now. The county funds adult daycare here. And in the department's request, they were able to keep this whole, to keep the funding for Colonial Club whole. We fund a youth resource center in Sun Prairie. The department was able to keep that whole. We also have the Joining Forces for Families office and the Early Childhood Initiative office, and that has all remained through the process. So we're very happy that they were able to do that. The Human Services Department does a lot of work. It's a very complicated department with local, state, federal funding, and all of those formulas are changing all of the time, the state and federal formulas. So that's where we are today. That's about all the talking I'll do, because I came to listen, and I'd like to give anyone an opportunity to speak who would like to. We have folks filled out some registration forms, and I'll just read off the forms and then let folks go at it. Are there any questions before we start?
Just a question.
Sure.
You say the state budget, county budgets aren't in sync in terms of periods that they are in effect.
Yeah.
By how much is that? A month?
Well, our budget goes calendar year. Calendar year
Okay.
starts in January,
Right.
and then the biennial budget, they could put something into effect
Sure.
that would start at, when does it actually kick in?
July.
July.
So a change
Okay.
mid-year could certainly affect us. And that's always been the case, but
Yeah.
particularly recently,
Should have known that.
with the economy and everything, it makes it a little shakier. So we'll just have to see how the state budget process goes and realize that could bring some unforeseen challenges maybe.
And the federal government is October 1st.
Okay.
I have a question about the Dane County Human Services Office. Has that been revisited in Sun Prairie, or?
Yeah, we've definitely got some feedback about, as you know, over at Sunshine Place, we have Joining Forces for Families, Early Childhood Initiative, and we're in discussions. I know Supervisor Clausius has been helping look around to see if there's a way to address that need in a way that we can afford. So that's still in the mix. There's nothing for sure yet, though, at this point. Okay, well, I think we'll go ahead, and Mary Zebarth would like to speak.
No, she wouldn't.
Oh, so you are here. Oh, do you wish to speak? And there was a question mark. Mary's undecided.
I don't, it depends upon what comes up.
That's okay. All right, I'll revisit it for you when we're done. Richard Burling.
Thank you. May I come up there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. And thank you for your presentation. Always helps to understand more about the budget. And one thing I learned tonight is that my nonprofit that serves adults with developmental disabilities should be taken over by the Colonial Club, because if they're not going to be cut, we want to be part of you. That would economize on administrative costs, so maybe we can make a deal here. I am Richard Burling. I'm the MARC Executive Director. MARC provides day services for 350 adults with severe developmental disabilities and is in his 61st year. We own 5 locations throughout Dane County. I know we have people placed at the Prairie Athletic Club and some other areas here in Sun Prairie vicinity from our east location, which is near Easttown. So I'm quite familiar with this area, and I live just on the east side of Madison. I have seen a lot of changes in my total 37 years in the field of developmental disabilities, including 31 years at MARC. I have seen DD people leave institutions and nursing homes, the creation of dozens of community-based provider agencies, with each offering specialized services meeting individual needs and choices. I've seen the improvements in special ed, the federal law, demanding special education, the residential and vocational inclusion of hundreds of adults with severe developmental disabilities, and improved health care, facilitating the integration of persons with serious health care needs. I've also seen people remain in nursing homes when discharge planning cannot match up with available resources. I've seen counterintuitive Social Security back to work disincentives. They cut your Social Security when we go back to work. Conflict over limited resources, shifting government priorities and service standards. that create misunderstanding and fear among families, and government proposals that subjugate client needs to bureaucratic whims. Each Dane County client with a developmental disability, and there's about 1,200 authorized clients right now, 18 to 80, has an individual funding rate. I have seen clients arrive in Mark, for example, in the late 80s, only to see their personal funding rate scheduled to return in 2013 to where they started. They will find their 2013 funding is exactly the same dollar amount as the day they started in 1989. How many of us could afford to live on our 1989 income? Cuts to DD have been 25% since 2004, including the proposed 2.35% cut in the current Dane County Department of Health Services budget. Through all this, Mark has made every effort to preserve quality services. There can be no pretense that quality is the same in 2012 as it was in 2000 or even 1989. There must be every acknowledgement that aging DD clients exhibit greater needs due to the effects of aging and progressive disability and health conditions. Sadly, this acknowledgement is missing from the department budget. These cuts must stop. Here are a few budget suggestions Mark has incorporated to some degree in its own operations. Dane County might consider these suggestions, and I'll give you a copy. And Mickey's going to have 50 copies for Wednesday night, which I can't make due to a former obligation. 1, allow client and family choice of services without judgment, especially when entering the DD system. Mark finds a higher level of satisfaction when choice is honored rather than directed to the latest changing fashions of service design. Make sure current clients, those that have been in the system for decades, and families are aware of all the service options they have with their funding rate. The only way they will choose an economical blend of services is if they are fully informed. Recognize that a growing number of clients have hospice, mental health, dementia, or chronic health care needs that override the baseline care resulting from the underlying developmental disability. Developmental disabilities include epilepsy, autism, cerebral palsy, cognitive deficits, and traumatic brain injury, often discovered from birth. Value the fundraising potential of the nonprofit providers. Mark has had success with the Mark Foundation. Perhaps Dane County could create a human services foundation to solicit donations from the community. Perhaps private funding can take up some of the slack caused by the cuts. This is certainly part of our planning at Mark. Thank you for your attention and good luck with the budget.
Thanks, Richard.
I'd be happy to take any questions.
And I will say, Richard is retiring this year. Richard's been an incredible, not only advocate for the DD community, but service provider and / advocate, extremely compassionate, powerful person. So thank you for everything you've done over the years,
Thank you.
Richard. We really appreciate it. Okay, next, Lyle Updike, who is a supervisor with the town of Sun Prairie and who has to go to a meeting tonight. I think we'll get you there on time. Excellent.
Thank you. I'd like to make a few comments, and I do wear some different hats. The first one is, as you look at public safety, the whole community-based policing approach that has been so successful in Dane County started with Sheriff Ramish. It was developed by Sheriff Hamlin. We've taken it to a new level and I think really incorporated it. And it's often one of those little things on the side of the org chart that looks vulnerable. And I really wanted to take in and support that. There are a lot of different ways to do community-based policing well, and Sheriff Mahoney is an exceptionally competent manager. We found a great deal of success on having a single contact, to be able to take and tie in with the community-based deputy and then have them work their way through the network on any issues that we may have. And I'd like to pass on the newsletter, and on the front is probably one of the most fiscally conservative members that we have in the township.